Hey, what's up, guys? This is Coach Mac, playfastfootball.blogspot.com. I recently got a request from somebody who's been following the site for probably the last 2 years now, Coach Larry Howell, asking if we could go over how we defend Twins open sets. All right, and on in several different videos, we've talked about Twins open. We've talked about versions of coverage that we play and how we kind of identify it. So what I'd like to do today is I'd like to go just basically step by step how we determine what we're going to play, how we determine how we're going to defend that set. Obviously, game plan wise, based on what teams want to do, you do some different things. But I'm going to try and take you, kind of step by step, just walk you through what our thought process is first, what we identify, how we identify it, how we set up our coverages on our base calls. For those of you who have watched a lot of our stuff before, you know that we're not a cover 3, cover 2 team. We are a split field coverage team. Our coverages will generally, when we're in base defense, our coverages will be based on the offensive set that we see in front of us. We feel like it allows us to match up tempo teams and no-huddle teams, and we feel like it allows us to get into what are the best coverages based on the sets that we're seeing. And then as our kids get better at what we're doing and as we progress further into defense, we can then change or tweak that picture a little bit to use some other things to take away what the other team is doing. All right, so in basically in general, in a Twins open set, all right, we will declare the front to what we feel like is the run strength. All right, so a lot of the times the run strength for us might be that sniffer or that offset back. If it's split back, it might be the 2 receiver side. All right, but in general, we're gonna set the front. We're an over front team. We set the 3 technique to the strength. So for us, in general, all right, if we felt like the sniffer was the run strength, we set the front that way. Right now, I've got a shut left picture up here with the 3 and the 5 on the left, and the 1 technique and the 5 on the backside. Our A gap front side Mike linebacker, all right, is to the shut call. Our B gap Will linebacker is away from that. Okay. To the 2 receiver side to start, okay? To the 2 receiver side to start in base defense, we will always play, all right, what we call palms or 2 read. That will always be our first check to 2 open receivers to the strong side. All right, so if the free safety declares that that's the passing strength and it's a 2-by-1 set, so that's the passing strength, free safety will always declare Liz palms first. That's the first check we always make. That's going to make our strong safety an apex player, all right, depending on what the other team likes to do. He might be splitting the difference between end man on the line and number 2. He might be 2 to 3 yards outside the end, depending on whether or not they can throw the ball. Can they RPO him or read off him? Can they get the ball out there to the flat? Or are they a team that just runs the ball? He's the apex extra player. We've got to get him tighter to the box. Most of the good high school defenses you see, at least where I'm at in Florida, play the apex tighter to the box, make you throw the ball to the perimeter, make you throw the bubble and some other screens. You cannot cut the perimeter of the defense in high school, so a lot of teams will make you throw the ball out there, and then their corners will come up and aggressively play off the wide receiver to defeat that block, turn the bubble back inside to the apex and the free safety. If the perimeter could be cut, I think a lot of teams would have to play the apex guy a little bit wider, because now if you run the bubble by 2 and that corner gets cut, all right, that bubble's out there in space running for a while, so I think maybe you'd see some teams play it differently. I also think that teams feel like high school football is a run-oriented game, play the apex in the box tighter. You watch college games and you see that kind of defense, you're not going to see the apex that tight unless they're playing man-to-man on the outside, because the ball will constantly get RPO'd or thrown to the perimeter. This is not the college game. We have to defend, what we have to defend, so I think the apex player will always be tighter. Okay, so to the front side, we'll be playing palms, 2 read. All right, your Mike linebacker will be dropping to that side off of number 3. He is a 3 vertical player, so in that coverage, if the sniffer on the front side, the number 3 went vertical, he'd have to match it. If 3 went out, all right, he would expand his drop to find a new number 3. Your strong safety is what we call a palms dropper. Number 2 does not cross my face. Number 3 does not out leverage me with width, does not get wider than me. I don't have to jump number 3 to the flat. I just have to widen and expand with number 3 to the flat a little bit, all right, so that he doesn't get wider than me, hold the curl window. If I expand with 3, the Mike should be expanding as well, so he should get the new number 2 if we get any type of snag, spacing, stick, any of those concepts, okay? To the backside, what we're going to do is we're going to play an 8-man front, some version of an 8-man front with our weak safety or our corner being our run support player. All right, 9 times out of 10 for us, we will be in sky coverage on the backside, all right, which means we will roll that weak safety down, okay, and that weak safety will become the 8-man in the box. It'll look like an old-fashioned 4-4 defense. This corner will be defending kind of deep off the half of number 1. He's only got a single receiver to that side, so we tell him he's, mod technique, he's man on everything deep on that number 1 receiver. We really don't play him as a true half player. Sometimes if the sniffer gets over here on the weak side, all right, and we still want to play 8-man front defense, we may play that corner as a true half defender so that if the sniffer goes vertical, we can split those two and play it as a true half. A lot of times we'll possibly change that coverage if the sniffer's on that side, depending on what we're trying to do or what the offense is trying to do. So generally speaking, for us versus twins open, we're going to be in an 8-man front. We're going to be on palms on the front, sky on the back, okay? If the ball is on the hash mark, we can very simply change this to where we come, all right, to cloud coverage on the backside. Cloud coverage on the backside is going to be corner support, safety high. All right, if the ball is on the hash mark, gives us a little bit different look. Gives us a chance to get up and impede those quick throws to number 1. All right, we take away the hitch, we can take away the out, we can kind of harass the slant a little bit if we've got a good corner that can press the number 1. Gives the quarterback a different look, gives the offensive coordinator a different look if they're a check with me team or a access throw team. So if the ball's on the hash mark, sometimes on the backside, we give those guys leverage or leeway to say that they can play cloud or sky. We let the weak safety make the call. Okay, so in general, that's how we're going to start off defending. All right, twins open teams. We're going to be an 8-man front. We're going to be palms. We're going to be sky. The next thing we would go to, all right, is on the front side, we would go to quarters coverage. Okay, and the reason we would go to quarters coverage is if they are throwing the ball to the flat, to the number 1 or the number 2 receivers. If they are running a lot of outside runs, buck sweep, tosses, anything that's going to the perimeter that we're having a hard time, they are cracking our apex player with the number 2, and our free safety's having a hard time coming up in that space and making tackles. What we're going to do is try and set the edge a little bit more with our strong safety. Going to play traditional, for me, what traditional quarters coverage is. So next thing we'll do is we'll take, all right, our strong safety and we'll put him outside of number 2, very aggressive on the line, up near the line of scrimmage, about 2 by 2 off of that number 2, and we are going to try and physically get hands on that number 2, make that number 2 declare his intentions, make that number 2 have to let you know whether he's going to block him or let you know if he's going to release in a route, whatever he's going to do, so that it makes the read easier for the free safety. All right. I like to take the corner, all right, and I like to play, when we play quarters, I like to press, all right, I like to press the number 1. Okay, if you watch us play and you see us play quarters, you may see us playing a lot of off-man. It's probably because either our corners can't press, all right, or secondary-wise, we don't like press man. If you're asking me personally, if I'm going to go to quarters coverage, I'm going to play press man on number 1. I'm going to take away all those throws to number 1. I'm going to make them throw the ball over my head to number 1. I'm going to take away the quick game. I'm going to take away the perimeter run. I'm going to force the ball to go where I want it to go if I'm going to play quarters. Okay? What you now have to understand, though, is in quarters defense, all right, your extra fitter in the run game is going to become that free safety because your strong safety that's apexed is so far removed from the box, you have to get an extra fitter in versus those 2-back runs. You start getting ISO power, all those things. If your mic is going to, if you wrong arm your end and you spill the fullback and then your mic comes up on the puller and your mic is a spill guy, you need another guy. All right, so normally that would be that apex player folded in. If we feel like we're getting RPO'd or they're reading that apex player, or like I said, we want to defend the perimeter a little bit better, we take that apex player and move him out and play him in outside leverage on the front side. Now all of a sudden the issue you got is your free safety is the next fall-in player after the mic spills an ISO play or spills the puller on a power play. But the free safety is also the vertical of 2 player. So you've got to be very careful when playing this style of defense because play action pass now makes you very vulnerable. One of the things I've tried to do in the past don't do it a lot with the kids we had this year or last year in high school football. Sometimes I'll let that strong safety press and funnel, and if he's getting vertical, I'll try and match the vertical route of number 2 with the strong safety to buy time for the free safety just in case he over-aggressively makes a mistake in the run game. Normal quarters rules, slow until you know, don't go until you know. We do all those things, but they're high school kids. Sometimes they're going to get caught. High school pass sets a lot of times are difficult to read. So if your free safety's reading end man on a line, you might have trouble getting a read on a pass set. If he's reading number 2, all right, sometimes I think it's easier to read number 2. If number 2 is going vertical, you'll see it right now. If they're going to run the ball, number 2 will usually put his hands right on that strong safety that's outside of him. I like to read that number 2 defender. That's just where I feel more comfortable, okay? But you've got to understand on the front side that now you've got to send the ball where you want it to help your free safety. So most of the time for me, if I'm going to play quarters coverage, I'm usually going to tie it with some type of stunt up front. All right, for me, that would be a pirate stunt that would send the run game further to the perimeter to help the free safety out. I'd like to take away those inside A-gap ISOs or those inside, even the power play if I don't get it spilled correctly. I'd like to take that away from the offense if I can and force the ball a little bit wider to help my free safety out because he's in a bigger area of space with the strong safety outside of number 2. Okay, so we'll press man number 1, strong safety outside of 2. We feel like now we've got perimeter runs, buck sweep, or anything, toss, or anything they want to do to the perimeter taken care of with leverage on number 2. The ball's going to get turned back up into the alley. Mike's got to know how to run and where to fit off pullers. Free safety's got to be the extra guy. Okay, so that'll be the first change-up that we make on the front side. Okay? One of the first change-ups we'll make on the backside, all right, is on the backside we'll play what we call hawk. All right, and we'll go press man. We'll go press man by the corner. Will linebacker's got to lock up on number 2 coming out. All right, and then we'll play more of kind of a robber technique with that weak safety. When I say robber technique, what I mean is we're going to aggressively play him. If he gets any type of run looks, he's going to fit. If he gets any type of pass looks, we're going to allow him to either double one on the single side, run to the middle of the field to defend the corner post route that everybody's going to run on your free safety when they know he's got 2 vertical. It's a split field, middle of the field, open defense, so teams are going to attack the middle of the field. So on the backside, sometimes we'll go to hawk. We'll aggressively play man on the single receiver, which changes from our sky look. So if they think they're going to get the single receiver with off coverage, now we change and we give them man-to-man. Forces our will to play a number 2 out in coverage, which, you know, not the biggest fan of, but if you were a quarters team, your will would have first to the flat in that defense anyways. Makes us more of a quarters team on that side. I don't call it quarters. Personally, we make it a hawk concept because I don't match the weak safety on number 2 vertical when I'm playing that. What I do is I allow the weak safety to gain himself based off of what the quarterback is doing. And I did a blog on that, gaining the weak safety. There's a blog from a year ago or so on gaining the weak safety. This is the one of the ways we change the backside and we gain the weak safety. We hope to gain the weak safety where we need him in the passing game. Friday night it happened to us. We were in hawk. They threw fade to the single. Our weak safety stares in the backfield too long, doesn't realize the quarterback did what every other high school quarterback in America does. When he threw the fade to 1, he grabbed the ball, he looked right at 1 and threw the fade to 1. If our weak safety was playing the concept correctly, he's at 8 yards, flat-footed. When that quarterback grabs the football and looks at 1, our free safety should have opened to 1 right now. If you got a kid that can read the front shoulder going up a little bit to throw the fade ball, now he can break on the fade. Front shoulder down to throw the slant, the hitch. Takes a lot of work from that kid, but bottom line is, other than Friday night, we didn't get anything we wanted at all in that coverage. Corner got beat on the fade. We didn't reroute. We didn't inch back press man. We didn't get a jam on number 1. Weak safety stared in the backfield, flat-footed, actually came up 2 steps to play the run. They threw a fade to the single for about a 25-yard gain. Actually, in the right coverage, if we get any impede at the line of scrimmage, any inch back jam at the line of scrimmage, and the weak safety flat-footed, quarterback literally took the ball, looked at the fade, threw the fade. Never looked off, never looked in the middle, never did anything else. Weak safety playing it correctly, flat-footed, quarterback looks, open to the single, we would have had double coverage on the single, okay? So sometimes you make a good coverage call and they don't, and kids don't play it right, and you still get beat. So for us on the backside, hawk coverage is a way to help gain the weak safety where we need them. If we feel it's a passing down on 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 12, we can double the post route by the single. We can get to the middle of the field for play action pass. So quarters on the front side, hawk on the back side is one of the things we can do. That's how we can change the front side. That's how we can change the back side if we needed to change the back side. Okay? The next thing we'll do on the front side, all right, is we'll play a lock concept where we'll play our apex player really tight to the box, and we will physically play man-to-man on the 1 and the 2. Okay? So we'll physically play man-to-man on the 1 and 2 on the front side. Why do we do that? RPOs, teams that want to read the access. Read the apex player. Teams that want to play run power and either run some type of snag, corner, some type of stick, some type of bubble by 2, apex fits the run, 8 man in the box fits the run, they want to throw the ball off of that. Come up and play lock coverage, play man-to-man. Now, strong safety can be tighter to the box, he can be the extra fitter on the power play. If you get the power play run and you've got it fit correctly, all right, you're going to end up with an extra guy. If your end spills and then your mic spills the first puller, the ball goes to the apex player, you've got an extra guy for the power play. Offensively, they want to read that apex player and RPO him. He sticks his nose in the box, quarterback meshes, he sticks his nose in the box, quarterback comes out to throw some type of run-pass option. Lock it up man-to-man with the corner and the free safety. All right, now when 2 backs out or does whatever he's going to do, your free safety aggressively plays it. Again, Friday night, the team we played actually did it to us. We threw it back out to number 2. Their safety came up, tackled it for a 2-yard loss. Locking that side of the coverage or any 2-receiver side as opposed to, or as a change-up to palms or quarters is a great way to play it because it changes up what the offense thinks they're going to get from the defense. So when they have a palms beater or an RPO or something drawn up, you're changing that look, okay? So generally for us, all right, palms, quarters, lock on the front side are going to be the 3 things we do, all right? On the back side, we're going to be sky, cloud, hawk, all right? That's generally going to be the way in, for us specifically, how we are going to play open sets. And that's not talking about pressures. I'll draw up the first pressure, the number 1 pressure I like versus open sets in a second, but that's not talking about pressure. It's not talking about stunts up front. I would move the, based on what they're trying to do, I would move the front a bunch. I would move the 3 and the 5. I would have some games with the 1 technique on the backside. I would rub the 5 technique weak side on the backside. If you're getting weak side ISO or counter over there, you can bring him under and kind of, help disrupt that. But in general, this is how we play, how we line up, how we teach twins open, okay? The only other adjustment we would make, all right, to a twins open team is occasionally, all right, in our base defense, occasionally what we will do is we will make a stress call and we will treat it, in essence, as a trips formation, and it'll affect your run support a little bit, so you've got to teach it a little bit differently. You got to bump your guys, and then you got to teach. Essentially, guys are gonna assume other roles in a way. All right, so if that makes it easier on you, we're gonna set the front the same way like we always do. Okay. What we're gonna do though is we're gonna make a stress call, and we're gonna treat it as a trips formation. So our strong safety, our corner, and our free safety, all right, they are gonna play palms to the front side. We're going to allow them to play palms to the front side. We're going to take our backside safety and we're going to tell him to play stress off of that number 3 receiver, which is now that strong side sniffer. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our backside safety and we're going to bring him all the way over to the front side A gap. All right, and he's going to play basically like a stress trio. Gilligan, whatever solo, whatever concept you want to call it to trips, where he has 3 vertical. All right, so we're going to put him on 3 vertical. And what we're going to do is we're going to allow him to fit the fullback as aggressively as possible if the other team is a team where the sniffer takes you to the ball. So if they are a power counter, buck sweep type team where that guy takes you to every run play, we're just going to make it a man assignment for him. And instead of telling him that he's got 3 vertical, what we're going to do is tell him to match 3 everywhere on the field. So we're going to gain him in the run fit, hopefully. All right? And we're also going to gain him on 3 vertically if we get any play action passes, because remember, in split field defense, the Mike would have 3 verticals, so that would be an issue for us. All right, so then when we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to bump the Mike over, and he's essentially going to end up assuming, the Mike will end up basically assuming the Will's run fits, the Will will end up assuming the weak safety's run fits, and the weak safety, in essence, will end up playing all the same similar fits that the Mike linebacker would play. Okay, so we bump the linebackers away. This Will linebacker will now become a sky player. He's also the force player in the defense. Okay, so what would now happen is this weak safety would end up fitting right where the Mike would normally fit on all power plays, or if you were to get buck sweep with the sniffer block in the end down, he would then have to run the alley through that with the apex player forcing it. All right, so we're basically just kind of exchanging some assignments, putting the weak safety right where the sniffer is to play him 3 vertical, and we're bumping our linebackers. The Mike kind of assumes the Will's fits, the Will kind of assumes the weak safety's fits, and the Will becomes the sky force player. All right, on the backside, your corner's going to play off the half. All right, that's a different look for them. All right, it changes things for them a little bit. All right, but what it does is, in general, is we try to eliminate the sniffer going vertical, all right, on play action pass and take some pressure off the Mike. Now again, Friday night we played this exact coverage versus this exact set and gave up the sniffer vertical for a touchdown. So, you got to understand that it's more about the execution of what you're doing than it is about these 2 markers and how you're doing it. We sacrificed our run fits on the backside by not playing sky coverage and by adjusting and playing, a version of stress to the sniffer, and we still gave up the sniffer vertical for a touchdown. So it's kind of disappointing in a way to play a coverage based on what you're trying to defend and then to still get beat by it, but it happens. High school, 16, 17-year-old kids, it is what it is. Hats off, the offense executed, we didn't. All right, but this would be a change-up or a wrinkle that I would put in, all right, and I would make it a stress call so that our guys could play something a little bit different in case we were getting sniffer vertical, or we wanted to change how we fit the runs because they know we're an 8-man front. All right, so in general, that's basically the different ways I would defend twins open. And then because of high school football and the things you get out of high school football, the first thing I would always do to twins open sets, or one of the first things I would do, especially when the ball's on the hash mark, I would send 4 from the side of the run strength with 2 coming off the edge to the side of the run strength. All right, so I would always have this pressure, especially on the hash mark. All right, especially with the ball on the hash mark. All right, first down, heavy run teams, ball on the hash mark. I would have this field pressure versus a 2-back twins open team all the time. I would have 3 technique under, 5 technique under, Mike tight off the edge, strong safety wide off the edge, nose away B gap, all right, end up there, all right. This free safety would become a hot player, all right. This Will linebacker would become a hot player, all right. If you're not comfortable, depending on which gap, you can leave the nose in the 1 and make the B gap the open gap, or you can push the nose out, all right, and make the A gap the open gap. Up to you, however you want to do it. It's not a gapped out pressure for us. We don't have all 6 gaps up front accounted for, unless we were to bump the 3 technique in and maybe try and long stick it all the way across the center's face. But for us, it's not totally gapped out, so we need our hot player to fit. I would spin him to the middle of the field. I would play a hot third with the corners. What does a hot third mean? Hot third means the ball's coming out of the quarterback's hands real quick because we're sending 6-man pressure. You can play it a little more flat-footed. You can break a lot harder on hitches or slants or balls that come out. You can actually read the quarterback and break off his front hand coming off the ball. We don't try and apex, or this corner is not really going to split the verticals of 1 and 2 on that side. All right, in a true deep third concept, because it's such an aggressive pressure, we are going to let him just kind of break off the ball and break off the intentions of the quarterback. Free safety will do the same thing. He'll be at about 8 or 9 in the middle. All right, he'll be a slow back pedal player getting ready to break on the ball coming out. All right. for me, what I think that does is that takes away your runs to the field. All right, to me, it takes away the power play. If you're getting a lot of power, a lot of buck sweep, a lot of runs to the field, I think this puts an issue on runs to the field. All right. Counter going back the other way, if they block it right, gap schemes, the six-man hot pressure sometimes can get you in trouble, but you know what? It's a change-up. It's not every down. It's run down, ball on the hash mark, first down here or there. I would always carry 4 off the edge, all right, 2 under, 3 deep as a six-man hot pressure. It's one of the first things I would carry versus a twins open team. I would do it all the time. If they were a heavy, read-orientated team, I might bring it from the side that the tailback is on as opposed to the field. All right, that's a game plan thing. You can draw that up however you want it. But, that is something for me that I would always have as a go-to first down, ball on the hash mark from the field. I'm going to make you beat me somewhere else. You're not going to beat me to the field. You're not going to beat me, with your standard runs, whatever they are out of those 2-back sets. I'm going to make you try and do something else. Doesn't mean that that's going to work. I might send that pressure and you might run power right into it for 70 yards. High school football is a very, very strange game at times. Again, the other night, Friday night, 3rd and 25, we gave up a counter play for a first down. A lot of things happen in high school that you just don't see on Saturdays or Sundays, but it's the beauty of it as much as it is the depressing part of it. And, you're playing with 15, 16-year-old kids, so you've got to learn sometimes that it's really not about the scheme. It's about what you can do with those kids and how you can teach those kids and how you can teach them better. So in my 20th year of doing this now, and I now realize that after 3 years, 4 years now of not making the playoffs and having some sub 500, 5-5, 4-6 records, I've realized now that we've got to do a better job teaching our kids what football lingo is, teaching our kids more about football in general, how to play it than just the schematics of drawing things on the board. We got to teach situational football a little bit better so that certain things don't happen to us. But, in general, how I would defend 2-back, that's how I would start. That's how I would start as a split field coverage team. In the future, you can probably bank on the fact that I will become a heavy, heavy pressure-orientated team. I've now come to the realization that unless you have absolute studs, playing a read and react style defense in high school may not be the best way to go. Depending on the type of school you're at and depending at the educational setting and the IQ of your players, you may not want to be a read and react formational based defense. You may want to just send kids and let them go and let them play and kind of play more of a feast or famine chaotic type defense. The other night I'm watching a game on ESPN and 2 of the best teams from Texas and the country are playing, and they're playing double eagle man free. It doesn't matter if it's 4 wide, doesn't matter what the set is, they're playing double eagle man free, and when you catch them, you catch them. When they catch you, they catch you. So as I go through my own struggles with winning and losing and things we're doing, and I also go through watching other people play, I think you got to play something that makes your kids play faster, play well. And a couple of years ago, this was the best thing for us. Our kids were pretty smart. It allowed us to play fast versus spread teams. It allowed us to take away the things we needed to take away. Last couple of years hasn't been as good to us. I don't think I've done as good of a job teaching it, number one, and I don't think we've had the types of players that can be in that type of system. So moving forward in the future, don't be surprised if you see us get away from the 4-2-5 and become a little bit more of a pressure-orientated team to kind of play a little bit of a helter-skelter type, make a lot of plays. And if you catch us and make a play, that's great. We're going to try and score points on offense, but we're going to try and generate takeaways and negative plays with some movement and letting our kids be a little bit more aggressive. So, Coach Al, I hope that helps. I know that a lot of these things and these topics have been covered in some of our other blogs, but put it all together, that's how I would defend the Twins open set. I think it's the easiest, fastest way to get some good coverages, change some coverages, and keep it simple for the most part for your kids, all right? As always, you won't play well until you play fast. Everybody that's in the playoffs, good luck to you. Everybody that's in the offseason, get out there and don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to study. You can catch me at Glacier Clinics in Atlanta in February 24th, I believe, and then you can catch me in Tampa, Glacier Clinics in Tampa on March 3rd through the 5th, all right? As always, guys, won't play well until you play fast. See you next time.